Good evening, and thank you for joining us. 1 year ago tonight, a New Year's Eve concert was letting out when an SUV carrying gas cans filled with gas, plus a man bent on murder, charged the crowd. This over at Kodak Center. But an Uber pulled out in its path. The crash saved the lives of dozens, if not hundreds of people. But the two passengers in the Uber, Josh Orr and Justina Hughes, died, along with Dawn Rivette, who was walking nearby. Josh and Justina's parents sat down with me yesterday to talk about the past year and the discovery they're bringing with them into the new one. Josh Orr and Justina Hughes loved music. It brought them closer as friends and brought them here to Kodak Center on New Year's Eve to watch a Mo concert. Because of the attack that followed that concert, the start of the year for their parents was the start of a nightmare. As the year ends,
I try not to think about it.
Josh's dad, Jason, is focusing less on the loss and more on the memories.
The good times. It's all about the good times. You try not to think about the negative. So Christmas, we told stories about funny things. We left out the sad stuff. So it was nice. But it's, you know, that's time. You need the time.
And reminders of a connection that in its own way still exists, even if through remains on a shelf.
I keep them because it's good for me. I can go over there, I tap on his urn at night, good night, Bob. And it's healing to do that.
Josh's stepmom, Jen, just glad to have gotten through Thanksgiving and Christmas. Having thought about life had none of this happened.
I have no doubt he would still be holed up in our basement apartment. None whatsoever. I have no doubt that the plethora of Christmas cookies and things that I made in the house would have disappeared much more quickly than they did.
Those memories and wishes. Jason and Jen, over the last year, have shared many of them with Justina's mom, Carrie, who, as the tide of grief recedes, has found in the sands of time stories that make her smile.
Josh had actually come into the house, and Justina was out by the gazebo, and she was face to face with a deer and didn't know what to do. So she just kind of like sat there, and when Josh had come back out, he scared the deer off. She said, "Don't you ever leave me out there by myself again." So it's little things like that that come up that make me chuckle, because that's her. You know, it's her and Josh, and I like that.
And in sharing their stories, not just with each other, but also with others impacted by this nightmare, these parents have come to realize they've also been sharing their pain.
Out of this tragedy, I see these amazing people, you know, that we have encountered that, to me, they've changed my life, you know? So I'm not focused on the bad. I feel like we're all being lifted up together.
A ripple, as Jerry Garcia once put it, that rolls out from something that's no longer there. We're going to hear from others there that night, folks that we've never heard from before. That's going to be tomorrow. We're also going to hear from Justina's twin sister. As for why this happened, I should say, that remains unclear, and it likely will forever. The driver died that day. The FBI told me today that the investigation into his motive is winding down, adding they found no evidence of any ideology or any plan to carry out an act of terrorism. They called it a horrible, senseless incident. We have their full statement at rochesterfirst.com. Lastly, should you need it, the mental health hotline is 211. It's a call that could save more than one life.